curious, you worked with Gus Bradley in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and you did the cover three. What do you imagine the scheme is going to be for the secondary under you in Washington?
It's going to be a scheme that guys are going to be up there getting their hands on, receivers. We'll definitely play some press. We'll play some off. We'll have various techniques that we will use. Some possibly similar to what we did with the Chargers, and some others that Coach Vease, who's been with Coach Rivera, and not Coach Rivera, but Coach Del Rio, and in Denver. So it'll be a few various things.
Okay. When you were with the Bears in Chicago, when they drafted you, you obviously played in the Super Bowl when you were with Ron there. What would you say it takes for the secondary to get to that level, having been on a team that went to the Super Bowl? What does it take to create that kind of equation, that kind of success in the secondary?
First of all, it takes trust. That's the biggest thing. Is it takes trust. All 4 or 5 guys in the back end, everybody trusting that everyone else is going to do their job. I mean, that's so cliche. You hear that from everywhere, but it really is a trust factor. Corner has to trust that a safety is going to be where he's supposed to be. A safety has to trust that the corner is going to do his job if he's supposed to reroute a person. So it goes hand in hand. So in the back end, I think that's the biggest thing is creating some continuity back there, so you can build that trust and build that chemistry.
Ron said one of the things he was looking at most in camp was how the personnel groupings at cornerback were going to shake out. Obviously, I know you haven't seen your guys really practice yet or be on the field too much, but how do you see that group shaking out, and what's your impression right now?
Right now, we haven't really seen anyone out there on the field, so it's kind of hard to envision it. But it's going to be one thing. There will be an open competition. I'm all about competing for jobs. Nobody will be giving a job, regardless of what your statue is, how much money you make, how little you make, how long you've been in the league, or how short you've been in the league. Everybody has to come in. Everybody has to compete to earn that starting role, and everybody will understand what their roles are once we get here.
From the Zoom meetings and maybe any other interaction you've had, has anyone stood out in terms of being well prepared, or do any names jump out at you?
You know what? To be quite honest with you, all those guys have done a tremendous job in the Zoom meeting, better than I actually anticipated, because it's hard when you don't get a chance to walk through. You don't get a chance to do those things. So everything is teaching, and you're virtually teaching it over the internet, showing clips, showing videos, showing PowerPoints, but not physically getting the physical reps. It is tough, but the guys have done a tremendous job with their retention and learning the details of the defense that we've been installing.
I'm curious, for your coaching, where your playing background, where you came out of college, how did that shape your coaching, and does that give you a different maybe appreciation or ability to reach a guy like Jimmy Moreland, who came from a smaller school as well?
Absolutely. Coming from University of Louisiana Monroe, fortunate enough to get drafted in the 6th round. When you come in as one of those bottom picks, 6th, 7th round, or even free agent, you kind of have a different chip on your shoulder, because you obviously felt you should have been drafted higher than what you were. But every player feels that way, and if you don't, you're in the wrong sport. So you've got a chip on your shoulders, and so being able to talk to a guy like Jimmy, a guy like Stroman, like I understand, because I've been in those shoes that they feel right now. Coming in, having to earn a spot, nothing is ever given to you. You gotta go take it. And so having that mindset, being able to relate to those guys, I think that kind of gives me a one-up in my coaching career, being a former player, being a low-round draft pick, understanding what that grind looks like and what it takes to succeed at a high level, coming from a smaller school.
Also, you played with Thomas Davis way back when. You're really getting going in your coaching career, and this guy's still playing. What do you remember about him then, and what is he going to add now?
It's amazing. Actually, Thomas and I are really good friends. We both were drafted in the same draft. I mean, that's crazy. I'm 30. I'll be 38 on Thursday. Thomas is 37. We were both drafted in 2005, same position at safety. And I was fortunate enough to be his teammate for 3 seasons in Carolina. And he's a guy that brings energy, brings juice, and he may be one of the most competitive person that I've ever been around. And he's still that way, even today, 16 years in. We're going on year 16. Mine is in a different path than his 16. This is 16th year playing. This is my 16th year in the NFL, but half of that is coaching and the other half is playing. And even now, I was with Thomas last year. He was with us with the Chargers. So he played with us with the Chargers last year, and I was on the coaching staff. And he still got that fire. He still got that energy. And I think the biggest asset that he brings is his leadership. And he can really teach those young guys, not just in the linebacker room, but the entire organization, how to be professional. Because, I mean, he's done it for 16 years, and he's had the longevity that he's had and had a very successful career, and that doesn't happen by accident.
Having played for Ron during your career, how much does that help you now in your coaching tenure with him?
It helps a lot because I kind of understand him. I kind of know kind of how he thinks, especially from a player's standpoint. And being around him, he was when he coached me back in Chicago, the year we went to the Super Bowl. Those 2 years, he was there as the coordinator. He was the guy that demanded respect from the room, and he had the respect of all the single guys, not only on defense but on the entire team, because the way he carries himself. And he's you're going to know exactly what's expected is one thing I like about Ron. He's not going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to tell you exactly what it is. This is the right way. This is the wrong way. And we're going to do things the right way around here. And if it happens not to go good, but you do it the way we said we're going to do it, he's going to take all the blame for it. He told us he's got big shoulders. And so as a player – playing for a coach like that, all you can do is respect that. And he's a guy that he will definitely reach the ears of this team. And I think it was a great hire when Washington decided to hire him as a coach. I mean, I knew he'd be a head coach when I played for him back then in 2005 and 2006.
Having come from a pretty stacked secondary with the Chargers, how do you feel about Washington's depth overall?
I'm excited. I'm excited. We've got some talent in the secondary. I'm extremely excited to get ready to work with Landon. You know, he's been an established player in this league, a Pro Bowl player, All-Pro player. Kendall Fuller is another exciting player. I love watching Jimmy on tape. When I got here, seeing Jimmy play, corner, lower round pick that I'm pretty sure he exceeded expectations last season. So we've got some guys here that I'm really excited. We just got Darby in free agency and Sean Davis. So watching those guys on tape when we evaluated them during free agency, and we thought that they could help us as well. So I'm extremely excited. I'm glad we got Aaron Colvin back, another veteran in the group that's played some very meaningful football in his career. So I'm very happy with the group that we have. And I didn't even mention a couple guys, Fabian, who was a second-round pick. And so we expect big things. It's going to be great competition because we have some really able-bodied, some good football players here, and it's just trying to get ready to get back on the field so we can get that competition going.
You mentioned Fabian. Last year he played both inside and outside. He seemed to have some more success in one of those areas than the other. Just curious on tape, as you've gone back to watch him, what was your thoughts of his year last year and kind of where he fits best with you guys going forward?
I like Fabian. Fabian has really, really good size for the cornerback position. He's got great speed, and I like his length, and I think that's really going to help him with the style of defense that we are going to play. So I'm excited. He has the versatility to be able to go outside and go inside. And so one thing we're going to pride ourselves in is being flexible and being versatile in the back end. So players will learn how to play multiple positions, whether that be a corner being able to play nickel, whether that be a safety, maybe having to go slide in at some nickel or play outside. So one thing we want to do, we call ourselves DBs. You're not a corner, you're not a safety, you're a DB, you're a defensive back. So we'll learn and we'll put guys in the best position that we see fit going forward.
And you mentioned that flexibility with a guy like Kendall Fuller, based on the contracted guy, it's kind of maybe viewed as the number one corner, which would probably mean playing outside a bunch. But what we know when he was here before, his slot was really where he thrived. So what's that? Where do you kind of see him lining up the most? Where do you think you guys can take the most advantage of his talent?
You know, he has a tremendous talent because he can play on the outside. He can play on the inside on the slide, and he also can play safety. So when you get a guy like that is as versatile as he is, we're going to utilize him and put him in the best positions that we think will help our defense. So right now it's hard to say exactly where he's going to be until we get out there on the field, but we're going to utilize his strengths and put him where we best feel he can help this football team.
With Landon Collins, when you've got a guy who star NFL player can already do so many things, so versatile, how do you challenge him? And also, how do you want to make sure he gets put in positions to use that talent?
Oh yeah, he's a tremendous talent, and he really, really shows up when he's in the box. When he's near the line of scrimmage is when you see him really, really show up. And he can play back deep as well. So our goal is to utilize his talent. He's an excellent blitzer. He can come off the edge. He creates havoc when he's up close to the line of scrimmage. He creates tackle for losses, and he's kind of like a spark plug. He's kind of like that starter for you. You know, you got a box of matches. You know, he can be that guy that you strike. That you just need one match to light the whole fire, right? The whole box of matches. So he can be that guy. So we plan on utilizing his strengths, his ability to hit people, knock people back, and get him taking the ball away. And so we're excited. I'm excited, extremely excited to work with him. I was fortunate enough to work with a guy with the Chargers, and I feel we have a guy here in Landon that can do some of those things.
I was curious a little bit. You talked about playing for Ron, but what is it like now all these years later coaching with him? Is it the same guy? What is different? What do you like, or what's the challenge about that? Or
well, when I was with Ron, I had a player-coach relationship with him. And so player-coach relationship was a little different than coach-to-coach relationship. And so he's definitely evolved as a coach. He's still an excellent motivator, excellent leader. And so getting that coach-to-coach relationship with Coach Rivera it's been great. And it almost feels like playing days back when I was with him as a player. He's a very personable person. He's a person that his door is always open and he always listens. And you can come into his office anytime. So I appreciate that with him. And he coaches his coaches up the same way he coaches his players. So I think it's been great. It's been actually great.
Was there something you ever remembered, like a moment or something that you really that he had that really jumped out at you? That always there's that Rivera moment for you. We were. I'm pretty sure you guys all remember the Monday Night Football game when the Bears are who we thought they were with Denny Green, with the Bears in Arizona. So we were in Arizona. It was 2006 on Monday Night Football, and we did not play really good football in the first half. And Ron came in there, and I mean he let it be known. He told everybody we need to man up, and I don't want to see anybody pointing any fingers. You turn around and you point that finger at yourself, and you do your job. If you do your job, we will win this football game. And he came in and kind of just laid it out there. And he's a very blunt person, and he's going to tell you exactly like it is. And that's one thing that as a player I respected from Coach Rivera. So I remember that locker room halftime speech when we came back and won that game in Arizona on Monday Night Football.
Just curious, kind of following up on Ben's question, when you have so many guys that are versatile, whether they can fit outside or inside, how do you determine what best suits them? What kind of traits are you looking for? What suits a best outside guy or an inside guy?
Well, I mean, it's going to come down to the reps to determine that. But, inside, guys that have instinct, that have really good instincts, that can have a great feel and can play two-way goals inside and man coverage when they're on the slide. And guys on the outside that can do a great job playing lateral, getting their hands on receivers, being able to come out of their breaks, transition well at the top of the route while playing on top and staying on top to be able to defend deep balls.
Quickly, how much of that halftime speech that Ron gave you in Arizona could you say here in mixed company?
I don't think I can. I don't know if I can speak any of it in mixed company, but it was it was intense. It was intense. It was very intentional, and it was very blunt. Very blunt. And he does. I mean, he kind of told it like it is. You know, he didn't sugarcoat anything. We weren't playing well defensively. We gave up 18 points in the first half, and you know, he couple you know, had to beep out some words if it was live, but you know, he got his point across, and I don't think we gave up a point in the second half, or we may have gave up 3. And so he got his point across, and guys came out, and we played a really good second half of defensive football.
Gotcha. Thank you. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about Jimmy Moreland. You mentioned how much you enjoyed watching him on tape. The kind of talent evaluators I've talked to all say he projects as an inside slot corner. How do you envision him playing in your system?
I envision him playing both inside and outside. I think he has the versatility to be able to slide on the outside as well as slide on the inside. He's a kid that's the one thing that I love about Jimmy that I watch on tape that sticks out to me when I watched him when I got here was his toughness. I think he is a tough individual, and I like tough football players. And I've reiterated to those guys, defense is only as tough as its defensive backs who will come up and tackle. And I'm a firm believer that. I'm somewhat old school. I'm not old. I don't think I'm old anyway. But I somewhat have an old school mentality that your corners have to be able to tackle, and your corners are only as tough. Your defense is only as tough as its corners tackling. And so that's kind of my philosophy, how I preach it. And that stuck out on tape when I watched Jimmy.
I'm sure you probably noticed Jack pointed it out when we got to speak to him in mid-January about how bad the communication was on the back end for whatever the reasons were over probably the last 2 years. How do you go about fixing that besides just, you know, coaching guys up and getting them out on the grass, especially with this offseason? How do you tackle such a big problem?
It starts in the meeting room. Whenever we meet, and we're doing everything virtually now, but whenever we're talking, they have to communicate back to me. They have to communicate what's going on. Give me the close call. Give me the check here. It's not media. It's not lecture style in my meeting rooms. It is open dialogue, open talk, and I make them communicate and make them talk back to me, and they're communicating, talking to each other. So I'll just run the tape, give them the call, and they've got to communicate to each other while watching tape. Because it starts in the classroom, and then once you take it from the classroom, you got to take it outside onto the field, and then you take it onto the field into a game. So but everything starts in the classroom. So we make sure that we communicate, they communicate amongst each other with the checks while watching the tape and talking amongst themselves.
And just if I could follow up for a second, I mean, was that something – I mean, it seemed like it was easy for Jack to identify. Is that something that when you popped on the tape when you got here that jumped out to you right away as, well, this is a really bad issue that we have to fix right away and really put an emphasis on?
Yeah, it was something that I mean, you saw it. You saw evidences of it while watching tape, and that was just something that we want to harp on and make sure that our communication is top notch. You can't have a quiet defense, and everybody needs to know exactly what it is that they're supposed to do and do it.